day, ladies and gents. I'm Bennett Morgan from the Young Americans for Liberty chapter at Boston University, and today I would like to have a discussion with you, yes, you, about the most engaging and enthralling topic in modern political discourse, the Constitution. See, by calling it a discussion, I've made what will really be a one-way pedantic rant much more appealing. And if you're just confounded by why so many people support the confirmation of Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch, I hope I can explain some of the appeal. So, the Constitution. The framework of our great nation and the model of so many others around the world, it shapes the way that you and I experience our very lives. But in interpreting this document, two factions have risen to prominence. On one hand, we have the originalists, judges who interpret the Constitution objectively, judges the likes of Antonin Scalia. It's important to understand that originalist legal scholars look not for original intent, but for original meaning. On the other hand, we have judicial activists, or non-originalists. They interpret the Constitution subjectively. Their idea is that interpretation based on personal feelings, emotion, and ideals is necessary to help an archaic document adapt to modern times. Such a philosophy is what brought us the landmark decision in Roe v. Wade. Yay, right? Wrong! But I digress. Now, you may be thinking, letting women choose is a great win for individual liberty. But those victories are always overshadowed by the horribly undemocratic process with which they were acquired, with which they were won. They were simply declared rights with no constitutional basis via judicial activism. This most obvious danger of judicial activism is best explained by good old Tommy J.
The Constitution is a mere thing of wax in the hands of the judiciary, which they may twist and shape into any form they please.
And this entails some pretty dangerous stuff. For example, when judicial activists on the Supreme Court declared abortion to be a right in Roe v. Wade, they set a precedent for future judges to simply make up new rights not listed in the Constitution. They did this because they thought it was the right thing to do, but if down the line pro-life judges comprise the Supreme Court, well, the precedent's been set for them to overturn Roe v. Wade and declare the rights of a fetus to life, effectively outlawing abortion.
And rendering the backbone of the Republic a hollow shill for partisan agendas and government whims.
And pro-lifers who would support this kind of judicial activism, you're just as guilty as the other guys for undermining the democratic process. Yay, nonpartisanship! Yeah, but really, if it's not in the Constitution listed explicitly as a power of the federal government, leave it to the states. Now, you might be thinking, well, that does make some sense, Justin, but we can't make progress with a 200-year-old document, and I don't know why you'd think that, because my name isn't Justin. Idiot! Well, here are some other things that are very old. The Old Testament, the Socratic method, the New Testament, Wikipedia, no? The scientific method, the very institution of democracy. Yeah, because those don't influence us anymore. Nudge, nudge. The paper and the ink might be pretty damn old, but the ideals of freedom and justice and individual liberty, those are timeless. The Constitution doesn't need to bend. We need to bend to the Constitution to preserve American ideals, lest we allow our emotions and knee-jerk reactions to corrupt them. That's how we got such evils as the separate but equal doctrine and Plessy v. Ferguson. But by being such a rooted philosophy, originalism transcends this. Justice John Marshall Harlan, notorious white supremacist and slavery advocate, was the sole dissent in Plessy v. Ferguson because of his adherence to originalist interpretations. And that's the perennial power of interpreting the Constitution as it is and not as you want it to be. There's no room for corruption. And when the Constitution really has neglected to protect our liberties, we can utilize its own Article 5 and amend it. So pick up a copy of the Constitution, give it a read, and I think that you'll find it's a pretty great document. And where it has its flaws, its imperfections, we can work together to change those. This shouldn't be a partisan issue. This should be a united American consensus to help the Constitution realize its own vision, that all men are created equal. Just waiting to fade to black so I can go home.